Hi everyone, what's up? Okay, in this tutorial, quickly I'm going to be showing you your way around a digital mixer, and I'm going to be relating it to an analog board. Okay, today we are making use of a Behringer X32 console. X32 is a 32 input and 16 output board. Usually it is the most common mixer we can find around, and very, very affordable. Of course, it has a great sound. Okay, you can find the likes of the Midas M32 as well. They are basically the same thing. Okay, if you can find a way around the X32, you can find a way around the Midas M32. So we are making use of this today, basically because it is the most common. Like you find it everywhere. People have it around churches, studios, or what have you. It's about is also quite affordable anyway. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you your way around it quickly, so that for you that don't understand signal flows quickly. So for the purpose of the resound training, I'm going to be showing your way around it. Okay, my name is Ifeanyi, by the way, and this resound training is powered by MusicVille. Okay, real quick, this is a 32 channel board. Okay, it has 32 in mono inputs, and of course, unlike the analog boards, you find we have some lengthy board, but in this case we have the first 16 channel on the first row, and the next that we have channel 1 to 16 on the first row. Then when we switch the view, we have the remaining 17 to 32 channels. Okay, automatically, and we know, of course, the digital board have motorized faders. So example, let's use channel 16. That's where I'm recording my audio from. Okay, let's say we turn down the volume here and we switch over to the next page of the mixer. It's no longer the same thing. We are on the channel 32, and notice that each channel, unlike the analog mixer, they have the channel name. Like this channel, particularly 32 channel, is not labeled. Okay, because I'm not using it for anything on this mixer yet. But when I switch back to the 16, it is labeled channel 16. But then I'm not using it. But for the purpose of this lecture, I'm using it as my audio input. As you can see, the audio, the signals are coming up here. Okay, so I turn them up and I switch. When I turn it, I switch over to the next page. You find out that it comes down, so it's motorized. It's retained the last memory of the last thing you did. So that's the difference between analog and digital. So you can manipulate anything, and it comes with so many other effects inbuilt in it. That the effects, the zeros, the effect channels, your delay, your your delays, your reverb, your what have you. We have the chorus, and then it also have 4 dedicated sends for your other effects. So on this mixer, I've already inserted an electronic compressor. I like this compressor a lot anyway. So I inserted 2 because I am using a dual channel, so that left and right. So I inserted it separately on 4 other instruments. I think the bass, the kick, the talking drum, and other stuff like that. And then I have my dual EQ. Okay, I used it to ringing out anyway. So okay, I think I still have one more EQ here. Okay, quickly, that's that about that. So but you don't find all this in an analog board. You only have your gain, I'm almost forgetting how the analog board looks like. Pardon me. Your equalizers and your auxiliary sends. Yes, I think that's all. So let's use, like I said last time in the last lecture, see every channel of the mixer as an individual channel. Okay, don't clog your head with the bulkiness and many things around. Everything here you see functions for one channel. So don't be confused about many buttons and lights you are seeing. Don't get confused, even though it's kind of complex anyway. But then you take every channel as a single entity. So I'm going to be showing you what happens in the system of the digital mixer when you're using this. So I'm working on channel 16. You can see you have to select for every channel you're working on. You have to put on the buttons, the select button on, because if you have another button on anything you're working on, you're touching, any adjustment you're making is on that button you are selected. So be careful not to select something on the page 1 and then you think you are working on something on page 2. You'll be making alterations on what's selected on the other page. So basically what most people don't really, the first mistake I see a whole lot of sound engineers make is in their gain setup in the preamp. So when a sound comes in through this input, through your input, okay, I'll turn down. The first thing you have to do when setting up is turn down the volume to infinity, to down, like this is the least volume we have. Notice I'm still getting signals. Let me start from the 0 and let me turn down the gain backward. So this tells me, it tells me that I have signals coming in, as you can see from the preamp. So the sound passes through the preamp first of all before it gets through any other part of the system. So once it hits the preamp, so in the preamp settings, for this mixer we have the low cut attached with, okay, it is a portion of the equalizer anyway. Then we have the gain knob. Of course, it tells us how much energy or how much volume we are sending into that channel strip. And of course, we have the 48 volt phantom switch. For the purpose of this lecture, I'm not on a phantom, I'm on a regular dynamic microphone, so we just need phantom power to be on. So that's why it is off. Basically, this is what you get from in. Now, how do you set your channel? Like, I know you must have noticed the volume have dropped, but I took it off for the purpose of this lecture. So I get to set my gain level. First of all, now, how do we know? I tap my solo button to see my channel. Come here, show it. Okay. See this solo button. I'm getting very, you can see, very little signal. Even I'm talking loud. So we don't want to get a little signal from our sound. So we want to get a strong signal as possible that is not clipping or that is not distorting. So we'll begin to turn up the volume of the gain gradually. Now let's look at, as I turn up the gain gradually, the volume comes up. Just show closer here, come here. Okay, the volume comes up gradually. So what we want to do, whether on a microphone, on any instrument, you see we are still on the green volume, we are still on a safety level, we are still safe. Yes, okay, we are beginning to hit the yellow or the orange part. So we want to get to this point. This is the safety point. So we have enough audio, or we have enough quality signal coming in, of course, from our preamps. Okay, we have enough quality signal coming in, but we don't want to distort. So for the sake of instrument, especially like the instrument like the kicks and the snare drum that spikes so hard, and you need to be careful to check so that it doesn't hit the red button. Okay, let me take it up closer so that you see what happens. See, it's coming up, it's hitting the clip. So at this point, the sound is distorted. So we don't want this for any sound. At any point in time, we don't want that to happen to our sound. It's going to utterly destroy the entire mix. Okay, so as the drummers play while you are sound checking, you tell them to hit as hard as the hardest they can while they are performing. So you'll be sure they are not hitting somewhat close to the red area, maybe around for me I like the come closer, around the -18 and not more than the -12. I don't know if you are seeing. Let's take it closer. Let me focus. I don't know if you are seeing the -12. I don't know if it's clear enough for you to see. Take it up a little bit. Let's focus. So around the -12, somewhere close to here. So somewhere in between the orange button and the green. So don't exceed that. So at that level, we should have enough signal. That's the most. You notice we can the volume is still down and we are having enough. And so I'm talking loud so that even for the singers, when you are checking up singers, you must be sure they are talking loud or they are singing loud. So we don't want to check or set the gain levels while they are whispering or talking low. Maybe during performance they'll start shouting and hitting hard, and then all the system begin to clip and distort. So at this point in time, I have the amount of energy I want to come into this channel 16. So I can, let's have it this way. Yes, so I can now turn up my desired volume. You can see as I turn it up now, I have similar level of volume coming into the mains. Okay, of course, I'll come here. I always begin my setup from the unity volume. That's at 0 level. Okay, so with this now we can have. So be careful when we have many heavy signals coming in. It's going to add up and you start having heavy signals. So what I will likely always do is to turn it down a little. For me, that's my own rule, so that I don't at any point, at a normal singing or talking level or playing level, hit the red area. So that's the first thing you need to do. Okay, whether on a digital or on an analog board, it is very, very important. So that is one. And then secondly, the next thing that we can do to this, okay, I don't know, okay, I will switch back to the original volume, original sound coming up from the mixer, okay, so that you can hear it. Then I will now switch back to the mixed version for the purpose of clarity in the lectures. So the next thing you see is the low cut. Let me open the equalizer for you to see. Okay, the low cut, of course, don't forget to select the channel. Come here, I'm not saying select channel here. Don't forget to be on the channel you are working on. Okay, the next thing is the low cut. For the purpose of this microphone, I don't want to have the modeled up. You can see the depth. We don't want that to happen in the microphone setting. So the first thing we usually do this is for clearing up muddiness, low cut. As I sweep it downward, you see, I'm coming up to the show the mixer here. This is the EQ. Of course, this is a parametric EQ. Okay, so this is the original point. As I switch backward, I begin to cut down until I get to the area of I think this is too much, so I turn it back maybe to 100. Between 80 and 100 is fine. So that at this point I've cleared up the muddiness. That's one of the things. Then you can as well do other stuff you want to. Please, let's keep it on. So you can do other things you want to do on the mixer. Of course, there are 4 points on this mixer. The 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do whatever manipulation you want to do based on if you know what you're doing. Which I'm going to be showing you that later. But I just want to run you through this through the signal flow. Okay, so the next thing you have is your EQ. Okay, quickly, let's do that. Now the EQ has, the primary EQ has basically 3 functions. This is the equalizer set area. It has basically 3 knobs, which is your Q. Let's select the high mid. Come here, that's the pink one. The high mid is selected here already. So let me show you what the Q does. So the Q factor determines the width. Excuse me. Yes, okay. The Q factor determines the width. I see what's happening. So it determines the width of the cut of the area of the frequency you want to select. So it is common. It is the same thing in all mixers, both in the software version and in the hardware version. This Q factor determines the width, or you select the area of the spectrum in the equalizer you want to cut. Of course, you have to know what you're doing first of all, but that's just the basic analysis of what you want to do. Okay, and the general rule says you are doing you want to add, you want to boost a frequency. We use a wide curve. Okay, and then anytime we want to cut off frequencies, we use a narrow curve. Okay, that's the general rule. Okay, except otherwise when you need to do something else. So I'll quickly run it down. This Q tells us how much of the width, we want to cut. Okay, except we want to cut out a specific frequency. Okay, let's example C. Come here. We have around the 600K here. It's hitting so hard. Okay, I want to cut it down. I narrow it down. I made the Q factor very, very little. Okay, I bring the Q factor down so that I can now gain it and cut it off as I like. Okay, that is the first one, is the Q. Then the next factor is the frequency. Now the frequency, this frequency, or some cases you see it as sweep, especially in the software version. It gives you access to sweep across the show the mixer. See what's happening? You sweep around where you need to cut out any frequency that you don't. Okay, we're having so much energy pouring out around the 600, I think the 400 or 600 years. So you sweep toward that area you want to do. And by the way, this shows you a graph of what's happening, the waveform of what's happening in your sound. So you know where the problem of the frequency is coming from and know where to cut. But this is an added advantage in the digital mixer. But of course, in the analog board, you don't get to see all that. So you work by ears. So this has made it easy for us to detect where the problem is coming from and how to fix it on time. The next function, that's the frequency or the switch.